Air delivery. Air delivery is essential in this, and I think probably what I'm going to do is maybe even do a separate video just talking about air delivery, because there's a lot that goes into it. We'll keep this video a little bit shorter. So the way that you blow into a duck call is you're not blowing into a duck call. That's the first thing that I have to say. You're not blowing into a duck call. So think of how you blow on a party horn. That's not it. The party horn is, you're not building up any back pressure in your chest, your lungs, your stomach. You're not building up any pressure in your mouth. You're just narrowing your lips and going, it's high velocity air. I could take, you can see how I can move this reed. That's not the air. If I blow that into a duck call, watch. It's not right. It's high velocity air, low pressure, and that's the wrong type of air. And it's not just this duck call, any of them. It's just noise. It basically sounds like a party maker, and if you do it into a goose call, you basically have a party maker, or party noise maker, whatever you call it. Anyhow, don't do that. What we're looking for is, think about fogging your glasses. You're gonna go, but I've heard that tip before and that messed me up. What you're doing is you're actually going to brace for a punch to the gut and then fog your glasses. And that's key. The reason is you have to build up the back pressure, because that back pressure is what's going to impact how the air flows across the reed in order to give you the right sound, a ducky sound. Because as you just heard, none of those sounds were even remotely ducky. Even if I put a ducky cadence to it, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what I do on the cadence, it still sounds absolutely terrible because my air delivery is wrong. So think about if you were gonna have, if your buddy was just joking with you, he goes like that, and you're like, right? You tighten up, or if you're falling, you're bracing for an impact, what happens? You tighten your core, and you don't just tighten your core, but you go like that. Everything gets tight. So watch, and so then from that tightness, now you're gonna do a slow release. So it's not, it's that kind of a thing, right? So same thing if you're getting punched, if you're familiar with martial arts, it's not always a, it's a, right? If you're gonna take a hit. So that's the same kind of thing. So now if I release the air and I go preload it, watch. You can almost hear a little vocalization come through in that, just because that happens. I'm not trying to do that. That's just what naturally happens for me when I tighten up. Now my core is really tight every single time that I do that. Now watch what happens if I build all this together. Completely different tone, right? I'm not on it nearly as hard. Now as I release that air, I'm gonna get different tones. Now as far as releasing the air, so now I've built the pressure up, now I need to control it. And so I've heard a lot of folks say about how to control the air. Some people say a word, some people will say 10. And you almost have to say it with a southern accent to get it, 10, because it is not a 10. If you're from up north and you go 10, you're not gonna get the right, it's 10. You have to draw it out and almost give it 2 syllables, otherwise it's not gonna sound right. I've heard a lot of other things that people say. I don't actually say anything. I like to say something more to the effect of kick. And the reason I say kick is because if I go 10 and I'm back pressured, it doesn't work. I go 10, 10, 10. I'm not controlling it. Once I let go from the T of the 10, the air just all goes, comes flying out, and I don't have control over it. If I go kick, I can go kick, 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 and I can actually, I'm pressured up, but from coming off of the K, the K sound, I'm keeping the tongue tight against the roof of my mouth, so I have a control of air. So, like that. That's what I'm putting into the call. So if I were to do it in the back of the call so it doesn't make a noise, no noise. If I do it there, I'm gonna have. So completely different sound. You can hear it actually kind of sounds restricted, and it is because I'm restricting it with my tongue. I'm building the back pressure, holding it back with my tongue, and then using my tongue to modulate. As far as tongue position, I'm putting the tip of my tongue at the edge, the gum line of my bottom teeth. So the top half of the tip of my tongue, I feel teeth. The bottom half of the tip of my tongue, I feel gum. And I'm basically, from that line, I'm doing this with my tongue. I'm using about the mid to back of my tongue to actually break the air in, or stop the air and control the air. So it's exactly where you'd say a K. That's the part of my tongue I'm using. So that's why I say kick, kick. And that'll come in later as well with chuckles as far as air control. So if I go to the back, I'm going to do it not saying kick literally, but I'm going to try to make it sound like a duck call. So you hear there's a distinct start, air comes through, it's restricted air, and then you hear an abrupt stop. And that's why I say kick, because kick is a word that has an abrupt start and an abrupt stop. Kick, kick. So it's kick. So you get a start, tone, stop. Now watch what happens if I just do that here. I'm not going to modulate with the hands, just straight away. Whoops, too hard. You do have to learn your call. Every call takes different pressure. This one you can overblow. There are a lot of calls that you can overblow, and you hear people overblow them a lot. Every call is different. Some are going to take a lot of air, some are going to take very little. Just for demonstration purposes, I got a little carried away, but you hear what that sounds like. It's a far cry from the party horn. Okay, now I'm playing around with my tongue very slightly as far as the position I hold it in, the curve of my tongue when the air is flowing, and that's how I'm changing some of the subtleties of that sound. Okay, now once you get this put back around, you get more back pressure, it'll get easier to control. So I'm just going to do this statically. Remember, got the pinch, those fold around, and I'm going to leave that open a little bit. Now I do want to point something out. I said say kick. I'm not enunciating hard on the kick. If I do that, this is what it sounds like. It's, for this call, is way too much of an attack. It's that snappy, it doesn't sound right. So I'm not saying kick, I'm going kick, kick. It's just subtle. Okay, so think of how much we changed. We went from or party horn to so all I'm doing is just watch. Can you hear that? That's what I'm doing. That's it. Okay. That is your basic quack. Long way around it, but hopefully I hope that helps you to understand. I'm trying to go into enough detail so you can actually learn this stuff. Now, don't be discouraged, because I'll tell you what, the first time that you try this is probably not going to sound like a duck. It took me hours and hours and hours and hours of practice to even sort of kind of sound like a duck. So just hang in there. Sometimes you have to find a different call that's easier to start on. I did not start on this call. I don't have the call with me that I started on. I got rid of it because once I got better, it actually didn't sound good. It was fine for beginners. Now, some of the ducky tone that you hear, the raspiness, on some calls you may have a hard time getting that when you start. Here's a trick. You don't always want to get in the habit of doing this long term, because it's not going to work well necessarily with the higher end calls, but you can put a little bit of voice with the kick. So basically, And basically what that can do at the start is help that reed to get going, but don't get in the habit of doing that long term, because then you turn into quacks that sound like this. And there might be a time and a place for that, because maybe that's what the ducks want to hear on that day, but that is not a particularly good, just true hen mallard sound. So there you go. That's how to do a hen mallard quack. I'm Aaron with Roost Marine. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out all our other videos, and I'll see you on the next one.